It's time for your Low Country real estate market update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning and welcome to the last show of the year for the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show right here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. Thanks so much for joining me this morning. Wow, what a year it has been for Charleston real estate. This is the show that I've been talking about for going on a few months now. This is the last show of the year. We are going to recap the year for 2017. We're going to look at some predictions for 2018. And of course, I'm going to provide you with everything you need to know in 2018 to be successful in real estate, whether you're buying, selling, or investing in real estate. So that's what we have planned over the next hour. Now, if you'd like to talk with me off air, you have a question, a comment, you'd like to learn more about working with my real estate team, feel free to give me a call. My number is 843-345-1273. That's 345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com, and you can learn more about myself, my team. You can download your 2018 buyer guide and your 2018 seller guide directly from my website. Listen to versions of the show, search the MLS, learn more about us, all that fun stuff, listingsincharleston.com. So we have a lot of material to cover over the next hour, a lot of really good information. So if you're thinking about buying or selling a home next year, I promise you there's some information that you're going to take away from this program over the next hour that will help you with your transition into calling a new place home. So let's first talk about, in order to understand where we are, let's first talk about where we've been. Let's talk about 2016 for just a few minutes. Let's talk about where we ended the year. The entire Charleston area in 2016 saw almost 18,000 properties sold. That was up a little over 9% from 2015. A lot of people always ask, people tend to focus so much on the price when we talk about stats. And so let's just talk about that first. In 2016, the average sales price in the entire Charleston area was $240,000. And if I go back even further, in 2015, it was $229,000. In 2014, it was $215,000. In 2013, it was $204,900. In 2012, it was $190,000. So at the end of 2016, we had appreciated as a market a little over 26%. So we've been seeing over the past several years now phenomenal growth in the Charleston area, and that growth has continued. And we're going to read off some stats for 2017 here in just a few minutes. But first, let's revisit some of the predictions that I made for 2017, and let's see how accurate I was with some of these things. I said first and foremost that prices would go up somewhere between 3 and 5%, and they actually increased 4%, right smack dab in the middle this year, 2017. I also said that inventory would go down. Inventory is something we've been discussing on this program at this point for years. We have a lack of inventory in our market, and it's not just the fact that we have a lack of inventory, it's that inventory continues to go down. We are buying more than we're putting on the market. So I said inventory was going to go down. I didn't assign a number to that, but it did. It decreased 17.5%. Now, I also focused on new construction in my end of the year predictions in 2016. And I said that new construction inventory would increase. And what I should have clarified and what I meant by that was I should have said there will be more new construction listings available for sale than there were in 2017. And we had about a 14.5% increase in the number of new construction listings that hit the market in 2017. However, when you factor in the demand among buyers for these new construction homes, what we call months supply of inventory, which factors in the amount of homes we're putting under contract relative to the number of homes available within a 30-day period, our month's supply of inventory actually decreased 10% compared to 2016, meaning there's obviously demand for new construction homes. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as I read off my predictions for 2018 in our next segment here. But new construction, a lot of activity in new construction, a lot of the middle of the road construction is happening right now. And by middle of the road, I mean builders haven't been focusing as much on first-time home buyer prices as they have been that second or third home that people typically buy, because that's where a lot of the activity has been. Now, I also said that first-time home buyers would increase. They made up 35% of all purchases in 2017, which is up from 32% in 2016. And the National Association of Realtors puts out this report every year that we have access to as real estate agents, and it's called the Home Buyer and Seller Generational Trends Report. And so that gave me several stats, which is what I'm reading off here to you this morning. Now, I also focused a lot on millennials because I thought the millennials were an emerging market that we really needed to pay attention to. And I said they would be more active in the market. And I actually got this wrong. Millennials made up 34% of all purchases in 2017, which was down from 35% in 2016. So yes, I missed it by a percentage point, but I thought they would have been more active in this market. Now, if there's some interesting stats here, 66% of millennials were also first-time home buyers, which helped me when, we were talking about the first-time home buyer increase. This segment of our market is definitely something to watch. They're growing up. They're becoming more traditional in their buying habits. This year we saw an increased share in who purchased in suburban locations, who purchased single-family detached homes. It actually goes on to say that 49% of buyers 36 years old and younger now have kids under the age of 18, 66% are married, and 13% are unmarried couples. So millennials will, I think, again, be something to watch in 2018. We'll talk more about that next segment. Here's an interesting fact that I actually didn't make a prediction on, and I'm a little surprised at myself for not doing this, but among all sellers, 12% wanted to move earlier than they did, but could not because their home was worth less than the mortgage balance. And this is really interesting. I'm going to talk more about this next segment about the number of homeowners that we have in the U.S. with equity and the number of homeowners in the U.S. with significant equity, meaning 20% equity or more. It's a bigger percentage than you think. So it was interesting to me that, 12% wanted to move earlier than they did because they weren't able to. They didn't have enough equity. And that was most common among sellers that were aged 37 to 51. 21% had the situation that they just could not sell when they originally wanted to. A few more interesting facts in terms of what I want to read off in 2017, and then we'll get into the numbers here. But the home search process, I want to focus on that for a second. Among nearly all generations of home buyers, the first step was to look online for properties, except for buyers that were 71 years or older. Their first step, the overwhelming majority, was to contact a real estate agent first. They've got relationships. They've likely done multiple transactions with one person. If they're still in the business, that was the first call they made. But it goes to what I've been saying all along in the 5+ years I've been doing this program is marketing online is such an important factor of what real estate agents do and what we have to excel at. Another interesting thing I found is that buyers typically searched for 10 weeks and looked at a median of 10 homes before they bought something. The length of the home search was the longest for buyers between the ages of 37 and 51. They took 12 weeks on average. For all other generations, it was around 10 weeks. And they all viewed about a median of 10 homes. So they're not looking at a ton of properties. Once you understand what you're looking for, you really don't need to look at 20, 30, 40, 50 homes. And man, could I tell you some stories about people that have looked at 70, 80, 100 plus properties to where, we have to say at some point, look, we're showing you what you are telling us you're interested in. Where are we falling short? Where do we need to gain a better understanding of your true needs and wants and desires so that we can put the right properties in front of you? And sometimes people just like to look. Those aren't included in these stats. These are stats for people that bought something. So interesting differentiation there. Last thing I'll read off before getting into these stats is that as a result of the internet home search process, buyers most often walked through the home that they viewed online first. Buyers 51 years old and younger saw the exterior of homes because of searching online for properties. The most important feature was photos for 90% of the buyers that are under the age of 62. And I, as well, have talked about this ad nauseum on this program. How, I have a very simple saying. Two, quite frankly, when I'm marketing my properties. Number one is that I want my properties to be the prettiest girl at the dance. I use professional photography for every single listing we have. I don't care if it's a $50,000 condo or a $5 million island, because we've represented both and everything in between. But no matter what, that property has to look as good as it can possibly look online. And we'll talk more about this when we talk about what you need to know as a seller if you're going to sell your home in 2018. Let's read off some stats here for 2017. Obviously we still have a few days left in the year, but these November stats are going to give us a good enough indication of where we're going to finish up the year. If you look at, and I'm just going to kind of read down the list here, some people really appreciate the stats that I read off. Some people kind of, tune out a little bit. But I think it's important for you guys to understand where we are right now. It's also going to help in outlining some of my predictions for 2018. If you look at, and this is just the area overall, the Charleston Tri-County area. If you look at closings were up 3.5% this year. We're going to close, probably somewhere around, 18,000 properties, maybe a little more. If you look at days on market is 55 days on average. That's down from 58 last year. Our median sales price is now $250. Remember last year, 2016, it was $240. So that's up 4.5%. If you look at the percentage of the listing price that you're going to receive when you sell your house, on average, it's about 96.5%. So you're getting about 3.5% worth of negotiability on average when you list your house and sell it. And then the other thing I focus on here is inventory and month supply of inventory. Inventory, the total number of homes available for sale. At the end of November, we were looking at 5,120 properties available. That's down 12% from November in 2016. And if I look at month supply of inventory, we're less than 3.5 months supply of inventory, meaning if we didn't put anything else on the market, we would be sold out in 3.5 months. That's why we're in a seller's market, because we're struggling to find inventory. It was 4 months in November of 2016. And if you go all the way back to, 2010, 2011, we were sitting on, 10 plus months of inventory in several sections of our market. So it's been interesting to watch the accelerated growth in pricing and in sellers kind of playing that leapfrog game of, hey, they just sold their home for $250. I'm going to list mine for $260. And for the most part, they've been getting it. I'm going to come back after this break and I'm going to tell you what I think is going to change in 2018. There are some things that I think you really need to watch out for that I believe are going to shift in our market. So all that when we return right here on the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Again, if you have questions for me about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, my team would love to earn your business. We've done over 1,000 transactions in the Charleston market. We'd love to help. The number to reach us at is 843-345-1273. That's 345-1273. Or go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com, and we will be right back.
Visit Brian Beatty's website at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. Expert news and views on the Lowcountry real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Thanks again for joining me this morning as we discuss housing here in the Charleston area. We just told you what happened in 2017. We actually went back to 2016 and compared the market for this year compared to last year. And now we're going to talk about what I believe is going to happen in 2018, what you need to know to prepare yourself for the road ahead, especially if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Now, if you want to reach out to me, you have questions about the market, you're thinking about buying or selling a house, we'd love the opportunity to earn your business. We've been in the top 1% of agents in our market since, 2009, almost going on 10 years now. Done 1,000 transactions. We'd love to earn your business. We'd love to help. So feel free to give us a call, 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Or go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. You can learn more about myself, my team, who we are, what we do, what we sell. Search the MLS, listen to versions of this radio show, And again, go there to the blog section, and it will allow you to download the 2018 home buyer guide that we've put together and the 2018 home seller guide that we've put together. A lot of really good content in there. Some things for you to consider if you're thinking about making a transaction in 2018. So let's talk about my forecast for 2018. And of course, I am not an economist. I am not, I didn't read the, political bill, the tax bill that's, in front of everybody right now. So I'm doing my best here as a layman, so to speak, although, of course, I've got plenty of experience here in the Charleston market and in selling real estate. But, some of the stuff is some pretty high-level stuff. Having said that, I have a good beat on the market. I understand the market. I understand the factors that contribute to it and detract from it. And, as an example, and I think I've told you this before on my program, but I have a real estate coach. My coach coaches the top 1% of agents in the nation. Most of us are doing between 150 and as many as 1,000 deals per year. And we all agree that there are certain things shifting in our market right now that we need to pay attention to and prepare for and prepare our clients for. And so I'm going to give you a sneak peek into that. And of course, every situation is different. Every location is different. Every price range is different. So this does not apply to every single person that's listening because every single person's situation is different. Real estate is local. Again, if you want some specific information on what I believe is in store for you in 2018, if you're going to buy or sell a house, feel free to give me a call and I'll walk you through that process. The number is 843-345-1273. That's my cell, 345-1273. Or again, you can contact me through listingsincharleston.com. But let's talk about what I believe to be the market forecast for 2018. I first of all, prices. I do believe prices are still going to go up. I think locally, we're probably looking at somewhere around 3-4% on average. Nationally, by the way, they increased 6.9% this year. So we, as a market in 2017, we did not appreciate as much as the national average. That's okay. We've seen a lot of growth over several years, and prices are going to continue to go up. I do believe that the rate by which properties increase in value will slow down next year. Let's talk about closings for a minute. I think closings are going to be up another 1% or 2%. We have inventory issues. We're going to need to get inventory on the market. So I think we're going to continue to, see inventory issues. I think inventory will go down before it starts to trend upward. So it's tough to assign a percentage to that, but I think this time next year, several areas of Charleston's market will begin to see the signs of a normal market. I mean, nationwide, there are 12% fewer homes to choose from than there were a year ago, and 51% of for-sale properties are in the top 1/3 of home values, which are just out of reach for first-time home buyers. So that takes me to new construction. How do we fill that gap? New construction. New construction, in my opinion, will turn their attention to the first-time home buyer market. We talked last segment about millennials. Millennials want to become homeowners. They're having kids. They're getting better and higher paying jobs. And based on the National Association of Realtors generational study that I read off, last segment, the National Association of Realtors home buyer and seller generational profile for 2017, I think is what it's called. But anyways, their attention is turning toward more traditional neighborhoods, millennials, versus that kind of condo or that small home in the cool area of town. They're more mindful of the future as their families grow and as their needs change. They're becoming more aware of the fact that they're going to have a family soon. Maybe it's a better investment to be here in a neighborhood versus, a condo downtown, whatever the case might be. Everybody's situation is different again. But I do believe new construction will fill the gap that we need to see from an inventory perspective in that first-time home buyer price range. Because if you really look at the stats, $250,000 and below in our market, there's just hardly any inventory out there. And when I say inventory, I mean you've got the majority of properties that under $250,000, if you're priced well, you're marketed well, you're in good condition, you're going to sell in less than a month. It's the other properties that are too hopeful on their asking price, or that have just chosen not to do anything to the property because they felt like, it doesn't matter. The house is going to sell itself. It's such a hot market. I don't need to do those things. We're going to talk about that, by the way. But for the majority of buyers that are looking 250 and less, there has been an extreme amount of frustration this year. Really several years, because we've had inventory issues for several years now in that price range. We need more inventory in that price range so that when first-time home buyers purchase those properties, the people that sell them can then move up into a higher price range. So it's going to trickle upward. It's going to help the entire market. We need to see new construction be helpful in that regard, and I believe they see an opportunity there. Now, according to CoreLogic, and CoreLogic is like it's a leading provider of consumer and financial and property-based information. They provide analytics and services to businesses and government, so on and so forth. It's a really reputable source, is what I'm saying. So CoreLogic stated that 93.9% of homeowners in the U.S. have positive equity, and 78.8% have significant equity, meaning they have 20% or more equity. This means that nearly 3 out of 4 homeowners with a mortgage could use their equity in their current home to purchase a new home right now. Having said that, one thing I'm betting on is the increase in the number of sellers that choose to use that equity they have in their home to pull it out in an equity line of credit and remodel their home versus buying a new one. I think that there are plenty of people out there that would move if they could find what they're looking for. They just can't find what they're looking for. So they're just going to make do with what they have. They've got equity. They're just going to renovate their house. They're going to make it nice and new, and they're going to stay. That's not going to help us with inventory, but as people build equity, they now have that option. They haven't had that option for a long time as our market has recovered. I read a stat earlier that said that 12% of home sellers sold a lot later than they anticipated because they just didn't have the equity. So that, I think, is going to be something interesting to watch. Obviously that's not going to help us with inventory. It's going to help the industry in general. You got contractors that are now more invested in remodeling projects or building projects, and maybe they take some of that money, they start building some spec homes. So it's not, it'll be helpful, but again, the focus needs to be on inventory. That's what's going to help us return to normalcy in our market. I do want to talk about interest rates. I think interest rates are likely going to rise. The Fed has, they met earlier in the month, and as expected, the Federal Reserve has decided to raise the interest rates by another quarter point. I think all members but 2 voted to raise the rates. If you're looking into 2018, a majority of the members, when you kind of read through the reports, the majority of the members expect 3 or more rate increases. And in 2019, almost all of them expect rates to rise further. So if you think about that suggests 2 major things. Number one, the upward pressure on interest rates is likely to continue. And number 2, the Fed must feel pretty darn good about the economy. We've had, and believe me, I understand the magnitude of saying interest rates will likely rise, because the fact of the matter is we have had years of false starts on rate increases. In my opinion, the stage seems to be set for this to happen for real this time. I mean, signs of rising inflation, continued slow but steady growth in the economy, a political slant, they're all kind of aligned in the same direction right now. So I would expect slow but steady increases throughout 2018, with a very real possibility that it's going to be more than what the market expects. Now, what's unknown here, part of my forecast for 2018, what's unknown is how the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act will impact housing. And there's a lot I could say about that. Republicans say that the, Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, it's a massive tax cut with the ability to spur investments and jobs and economic growth. And of course, the Democrats believe that we're, essentially looting the government, and that we're going to unravel programs like Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. I'm not here to dive into that. We will see as time progresses what sort of impact this has on housing. I will say, however, that Moody's Analytics, which is another very reputable source, estimates that home prices will drop 4% nationwide compared to projections without the new tax law. So we'll just have to wait and see how this all plays out. Those are my projections for 2018. When we come back after the break, I'm going to tell you how to apply those, whether you're buying or selling a property in 2018. So all that and more as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on the Big Talker 1250. And remember, if you want to reach out to me, you want to talk real estate, you want to hire my team to help you with buying or selling a home here in the Charleston area, feel free to give me a call. My number is 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Or go to listingsincharleston.com, and we will be right back.
Hear the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 9 and each Sunday morning at 10 on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
1250 WTMA.
Now, here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston. Thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. You know, in the spirit of the holidays, I want to say thank you. I want to express my extreme gratitude to WTMA, to Cumulus, to everybody that listens to this program, to the clients that we have earned as a result of it, and to the people that we've helped just raise their level of intelligence in housing. That's what this program is all about, is to help you become a more informed consumer. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for letting me talk about housing. It's my passion, if you haven't noticed, over the past 5 years. And we just appreciate the opportunity to educate you on this market, to help you become more prepared for the road ahead, whether that's buying, selling, or investing in real estate. So let me do that now with regard to sellers. Let's say you're going to sell your home in 2018. I'm going to spend the next few minutes telling you what you need to be focused on in order to have your transaction be a productive and successful one. Okay? Now, if you want to reach out to me, you're thinking about selling your house, we'd love the opportunity to earn your business. As I've mentioned, we did about 200 deals almost in Charleston just this year. We've done 1,000 in our career here in the Charleston area. We'd love to earn your business. My number is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 345-1273. Or you can go to Listings in Charleston. Contact me that way. I will have a seller's guide for you to download for free on my website, listingsincharleston.com. And when we talk in our last segment of the program today, I will also have a buyer guide for you to download. Just go to listingsincharleston.com, click on the blog. It'll be right there front and center. Okay? So let's talk about what you need to know in 2018 if you're going to sell your house. First of all, you're going to have more competition with new construction. I believe this to be true. We're already seeing it. I don't expect things to change. I expect things to become slightly more challenging for you as a seller in those areas where new construction is going up like crazy. Here's the deal. Incentives are going to start being offered to buyers in new construction communities more so than we've seen in the past. We've seen new construction communities with, a good amount of sales on a consistent basis. Every 3 or 4 transactions, they're raising the sale of, or the price of their house, or they're raising lot premiums, or they're doing something to put more money in their pocket because demand is high and because they have the ability to. People are still paying their prices. What I believe is going to happen if inventory is corrected, which I assume will happen third or fourth quarter of next year, is those new construction neighborhoods are going to start offering even more attractive incentives than they're currently offering to buyers. Those incentives come in the form of closing costs or upgrades. You get X amount of dollars to spend in our design center if you purchase a home in the month of December, or we're going to waive our lot premium if you purchase a home in the month of December. I've seen some people doing that. So you're going to have buyers looking at those incentives, and it's going to make an actual difference to them. The other thing you're going to be competing with are builders that will likely offer incentives to real estate agents. Back when the market was soft, builders were sending agents on cruises. They were offering them 5-6% commission. I got an iPad once. So that's something that you're going to need to be aware of. So many sellers, I believe, think commission is a really important facet of selling the property. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. You have to understand that the agent representing the buyer is also counting their dollars. We have to pay them what's fair. We want to incentivize them to show the property. We don't want them to be detracted from your listing because of the lower commission you're paying them, when a new construction property might be paying twice the amount of commission. We have to be realists about the motivation among some of these buyer agents. Okay? And then we look at new versus the pre-owned inventory. I also think that as it relates to new construction, if you're a seller and you own your home, preparing your home for sale is going to be vitally important. If you're comparing yourself to new construction, if those are the majority of your comps, then you're going to have to put in a little more time and effort this time around to sell, because they're going into something that's brand new, shiny, clean, not a nick on the wall. Everything's perfect. You're going to have to get close to that. I'm not saying you have to achieve perfection in order to compete with new construction, but you do have to be aware of the condition of your home as it relates to your competition. The second thing I want to say is that pricing is going to become very important in 2018. This whole game we've been playing for years now of leapfrogging one another. The neighbor lists for $250, they sell it. You list for $260, you sell it. Your neighbor lists for $265, starts to sit a little longer. Eventually, they sell it for $262. The rate by which properties is going to appreciate or are going to appreciate in 2018 will slow down. I do believe that to be true. So you have to be careful about this whole leapfrog technique. And listing agents are as guilty of it as sellers are. Some sellers want the price, and if the agent doesn't have the backbone or the experience to say, I appreciate that that's what you want, here's what the market is going to bear based on my research and experience. If they're not having those conversations, then I think sellers are in for a tough road ahead, quite honestly. And I think that with the massive amount of new agents in this business, you have to watch out for that agent that jumps immediately at the opportunity to overprice your listing and reduce their commission to perceivably save you money. As I mentioned in my last show, which I did earlier in the month, over 50% of all homes that went on the market failed to sell with their first realtor. These are called expired, canceled, and withdrawn listings. Over half. You've got about a 50-50 shot of selling your home the first time around based on stats in this market. I also think price reductions are going to have to be a conversation you can't shy away from as the market becomes more unpredictable. I think that the majority of agents out there they're not aware that we're set up for a shift. The signs are there. I've been through it before, and that's how I'm able to speak intelligently to you about it. The signs are there. The writing is on the wall that a shift is coming. When? That's almost impossible to predict. But I think if I step back and I look at our market from a 30,000-foot view, there are signs that our market will start to balance itself out. It will start to normalize, okay? I also think marketing. I think marketing is always incredibly important, obviously, but it's still going to be incredibly important. There's a survey from the National Association of Realtors that revealed that in 2017, the number one most important feature among buyers when viewing properties online was photos, okay? Making the listing look good, spending the time ahead of time to prepare your home for sale. And I've talked a lot about this on this program about the difference between proactive and reactive marketing. Reactive marketing is, hey, we put it on the MLS, we put it on Zillow, Truly, or Realtor.com, all these, 5,000 plus websites that our listings appear on. We make it look as good as possible. We make the copy look as good as possible. We have video, we have interactive floor plans. We do all these things to attract the attention of buyers, and then we react to them when they see something they like. Proactive marketing would be things like sitting down at your desk and getting to work by making phone calls to people. Imagine that. Wow. The good old days where people actually worked rather than kick their feet up and wait for the leads to roll in. We are very much so a proactive and a reactive marketing team. We don't discount either process, but we do pick up the phone and we call our database. We call other agents with similar listings to say, hey, if a buyer for your property isn't interested in yours, please send them our way. Let's see and we'll do the same for you. Not everybody that looks at our home is going to buy our house, obviously, but it's making connections. It's networking. We also call neighborhoods to say, hey, we've just listed this home. Is there anybody that might be considering moving to the area? And you'd be surprised. We've sold at least 10 homes this year by connecting with a neighbor that knew somebody moving to the area, or they themselves wanted to buy something, and we found the buyer immediately. You can't make stuff like that happen by just sitting around and waiting for, the emails to come in. You've got to pick up the phone and get to work. And I think that as our market shifts and it becomes slightly more challenging for sellers, that's something that you as a seller will need to take into consideration when you're interviewing your real estate agent. Okay? Marketing is half the battle. Let me just say this. Marketing is half the battle. Conversion is the other half. I could pay all the money in the world to market my properties for sale, but if I can't speak intelligently about the market, or if I can't speak intelligently with a buyer about their wants and their needs and why this particular listing or area is the right fit for them, then we're losing half the battle. So you have to focus on conversion. You have to ask those types of questions when you're interviewing a real estate agent. In the home seller guide in 2018, which is on my website, listingsincharleston.com, there will be a list of questions for you to ask the agent that you choose to hire to sell your house. When you're interviewing that agent, this is an interesting stat. According to the National Association of Realtors, only 4% of sellers felt the commission was an important factor when deciding upon an agent to help them sell their house. The two most important factors to all sellers were, number one, the reputation of the agent, and number two, that they were honest and trustworthy. And not to toot my own horn, but that is our exact approach to client representation. We know our clients value our experience, our passion for customer service, and the results that we create, and yet, most often, they appreciate the fact that we are just straightforward with them. We are the no-nonsense agents in our market, and we will truly educate you on the process of selling your home effectively for the most money. We just don't feel like we need to do all this, all the smoke and mirrors selling tactics so many of our competitors use, because, you know what? Our relationships with our clients, the results we create, the referrals, the repeat business we receive, it just speaks for itself. When you achieve a certain level of success in this industry, you don't need that flashy stuff. You just go in, you know what your value is, you have a great conversation with the seller, you can clearly reciprocate their goals, what they want to have accomplished out of the transaction, and you lay forth a plan to get it done effectively. There's no magic to being successful in this business, but you do have to cut your teeth. You do have to get the experience to be truly valuable, in my opinion, to a seller. The last thing I want to say is that preparation and timing is going to be key for you as a seller. It's never too soon to get educated on the market, and you have to understand the value of your house and understand what needs to happen and when it needs to happen by in order for you to sell your home quickly and for the most money. So I have several free resources on my website. 90 things to do to sell your home for top dollar, which is an ebook I wrote. We've got the 2018 home seller guide. We've got market stats, educational articles, best practices, so on and so forth. All that can be found on listingsincharleston.com. So if you're thinking about selling your house in 2018, go to listingsincharleston.com, click on the blog tab, download that 2018 home sellers guide. There's some great information in there. And if you'd like to have a conversation with myself about selling your house, I would welcome the opportunity. My number is 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Or go to listingsincharleston.com. And we've got a few minutes left here in the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show, so stick around. We'll be right back.
More stimulating talk on real estate matters with Brian Beatty next on 1250 WTMA. WTMA. You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Welcome back, Charleston, to the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. I want to talk now about what you need to know in 2018 if you're going to buy a house. And I've only got a few minutes left, so I'm going to get through this information as best I can. If you're thinking about buying a house, however, and you have specific questions about a market, about a location, about making sense out of different neighborhoods, or in terms of how I search most proactively on my own, to just do some market research, feel free to give me a call. I'm happy to answer any of those questions. 843-345-1273 is my cell, 843-345-1273. Or, of course, you're welcome to search the MLS or contact us through our website, listingsincharleston.com, which is also where I'm going to put the 2018 buyer guide. Listingsincharleston.com. Click on the blog section. You'll find it right there. First thing I want to say is that prices are going to go up. They're just not going to go up as fast as they were last year, in my opinion. I also believe, however, that interest rates are going to go up. And this is how it impacts you. I want you to be very clear about the impact the increase in interest rates have on you, a home buyer. Now, let's say a home is worth $300,000 and it appreciates 5%. That takes it to $315,000. Your monthly payment, if you had a 4% interest rate on a $300,000 house, is $1,432. The payment at 4% on the home at $315,000 is now $1,504. So that increased $72 per month. Okay? Now, let's say interest rates go up to 4.5%. The new payment on that $315,000 house is now $1,596, which is an increase of $164 a month. Okay? Even if the home was worth $300,000 and the interest rate was at 4.5% instead of 4%, the monthly payment would be $1,520, meaning the impact that the increase in interest rates has on the purchase of your home is greater than the increase in pricing. So doing a 0.5% increase in the interest rate is more costly to you as a buyer than a home appreciating 5% in value. And that's going to take over a year to do in most areas of this market. So the point is the impact interest rates will have on the affordability of your home is something you need to watch out for. When real estate agents talk to you about urgency and why I think now is the right time to buy, sometimes, not all of the time, but sometimes it's coming from contribution. We're trying to help you save some money. If you have the ability to buy now, you're going to be paying less over the course of several years if you're getting a mortgage than you will be if you wait until later in the year. It just makes sense if you have the ability to buy now, to buy now. Of course, we have to find you the right home, which goes back to the whole inventory issue. But even there, the inventory that's out there, if it's priced well, if it's in good condition and it's marketed well, it's going to sell pretty quickly. So yes, I do believe we're still going to see multiple offers. The best way for you as a buyer to prepare yourself for the road ahead is to be as qualified as possible for a mortgage. I think there's a lot of confusion surrounding the difference between being pre-qualified for a mortgage, being pre-approved for a mortgage, and being approved for a mortgage. The lenders I work with will actually take you all the way through the underwriting process and approve you for a mortgage before you ever find a home to make an offer on. So in a multiple offer situation, if I can prove to the seller that you're already approved for a mortgage immediately, it makes you look better than everybody else getting a mortgage that might be pre-qualified or pre-approved. It essentially, it helps them remove that stress and that fear of, well, what if financing falls through last minute? We're able to show them, hey, we're already approved for financing. We just needed to find the right house. It makes you almost as good as a cash buyer. And cash is king. Nothing as good as cash. But being approved for a mortgage with documentation to prove that is the next best thing. So you need to work hard with your real estate agent and make those connections with lenders to get prepared for the purchase. I also think that, of course, you need to work with an agent that knows the market, that knows how to identify opportunities for you quickly, and that will work to find you inventory that's not yet publicly available. First of all, the agents, let me say this, responding to new listings is incredibly important. What most agents do is they say, tell me what you're looking for, bedrooms, bathrooms, price range, locations, what else is important to you? Great. I'm going to set up a search for you. And each time a new listing hits the market, you're going to receive an email. So just check your email every day. And if you see something you like, let me know. And then we can go and look at it. Which for most people is fine. They say, oh, well, that's a nice service. Yeah, that makes sense. Great. I'll do that. I'll do all the work myself. They don't realize they're doing all the work themselves. What should be happening is the agent should also be receiving those emails and then calling you to say, hey, did you see 123 Main Street? That one looks like something we should go and take a look at. Are you available today? Because I think it's priced well and I think it really fits your needs. Not as a point of being pushy, but as a point of being aware of new listings. Speed to the lead is something I coach on my team all the time. Conversion is what we've talked about in marketing. The speed at which we react to something could make all the difference for you as a buyer in terms of whether you get that house or not. Some of the other things we're doing are, of course, we're communicating with agents that have upcoming listings in the area. We're talking to for sale by owners. And then we're looking at, of course, our own database of people that will be selling at some point in 2018. And we've been very successful in matching up buyers and sellers that have a need, whether current or future, and saying, hey, this buyer is looking for something that we're going to be representing in 3 months. Maybe we can get them to come together now. And it's worked. We've done that over a dozen times this year. So again, I've got free resources on my website for you to look through if you're going to buy your house in 2018. Listingsincharleston.com is the website to go to. We've got buyer guides, seller guides. You can learn more about us and, of course, contact my team if you're thinking about buying or selling a home next year. And with the end of the year right here, I do want to say thank you very much. And from my family to yours, happy holidays. Thanks so much for tuning in, and take care, Charleston. We'll catch you next year right here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. 843-345-1273.